So next up we have Labour MP David Shearer, and also want to acknowledge MP Chris Hipkins, MP for Rimutaka, and he used to be involved at NZUSA.
Is that?
Yeah. So obviously David Shearer, he became the Member of Parliament for Mount Albert in 2009. He's currently Labour's spokesperson for tertiary education and also research, science and technology. Before he came to Parliament, he had a wide range of overseas experiences. That includes being in warzones, but also in the United Nations. So combat of a different type there. He also sits on the Education and Science Select Committee. So please welcome David Shearer.
Thank you, David. And yeah, it's really good to have Chris Hipkins here with me as former president, university president. Well, look, kia ora everybody, and very pleased to be here. I'll just run through in just a couple of minutes the main points of what I'd like to say here regarding our tertiary policy. The tertiary policy that we put together really focused on three principles, I guess. The first one was access and affordability, making sure that New Zealanders, assuming they reach the threshold of standards, can enter a university or a polytech no matter what their background is. The second was maintaining the quality of the institutions. We've seen particularly our universities and world rankings sliding over the last 2 or 3 years. That's a real concern to us. And making sure that they are in the top level internationally is very, very important. And the third principle was making sure that we kept our best brains and our talent here in New Zealand. I mean, for obvious reasons that they're important to grow our economy. So just in terms of those three policies, let me just run through a couple of the headlines for each of those. As you know, Labour, over the last, while it was in government, took the interest of student loans. We've tried to improve the threshold by which student allowances are able to be paid. We've done that in this policy as well. But we've also committed ourselves to maintaining the fees maxima so that fees can't rise more than 4%. And it would be very interesting, I don't know if you asked Louise Upston about that in your last session, but making sure that seeing if the National Party, if they become government, would do that as well. We also put $2 million into the training incentive allowance. This is to help particularly disadvantaged people being able to get into universities and institutions. And that was the thing that Paula Bennett benefited from when she was coming through, and then pulled the ladder up a little while later in Camden. So those are the key issues about affordability. I will say that there's some general policies around the Labour policies, economic policies. First $5,000 that you earn tax-free, which I think will benefit students in particular. The minimum wage being $15 an hour. Again, for students going into, say, temporary jobs, often it's at a minimum wage, that would be $15 an hour, and the GST off fresh fruit and vegetables. So again, that applies to everybody, but I think in particular for students that's going to have quite a big impact. Quality of institutions, number two, maintaining that quality. What we've done is committed ourselves to ensuring that funding to our universities keeps pace with inflation, and where possible is actually that's increased as the financial situation allows. And thirdly, keeping our best brains and talents in New Zealand. We've done two key things here. One is to reinstate the postdoctoral scholarships for those people who have finished PhDs. Very important that people who have finished PhDs go on and either study further in New Zealand, consolidate what they've learned, publish papers, and in a sense consolidate their careers, or perhaps they go overseas and they want to come back to New Zealand, and this is a mechanism for getting them back. And the other thing that we've looked at is looking at funding our most brilliant, particularly scientists, not just scientists, but particularly our brilliant scientists, give them in a sense, a pot of money that they can use to go to wherever, both into university or a business or a polytech or wherever, and be able to hire, buy equipment and create a node or centre of excellence around themselves that will also attract people from overseas. So those were the three main areas. Let me just, in closing, touch very, very quickly on a couple of other areas. We launched our skills package, our skills and employment package, which kind of overlaps into the tertiary sector a bit as well. What the key aim here was, we have 24,000 young people under the age of 20 who are not in employment and not in any form of education. And what we're looking to do is we have a package for those people. It's about $170 million. It's a big investment from our side to make sure that those people go on to be, particularly go into some sort of tertiary education. So there's, for example, that includes a subsidy for those people, for those perhaps people who employ young people as apprentices. So rather than paying them the dole payment is effectively paid to the employer to make sure that those people get taken on as in an apprenticeship. 5,000 extra places in polytechnics and in training, including targeting 1,000 for Maori and Pacifica. I can go into that in a little more detail later on, but that's a big part of our package as well. And then two last things, community education, adult and community education. There once was 209 schools who were funded for night schools. Now there are 23. There are 160,000 people who once accessed our night schools who are no longer have the opportunity to do that. We have gutted a really valuable part of second chance learning. I think it's and to talk about Moroccan cooking or whatever. I mean, just to give you a little story. I mean, I went into my local high school where they were doing Italian cooking, and there were a lot of half of the people in the class were Asian, and I asked them, I mean, you know, why are you doing this? And some of them said, well, a group of them said, well, actually this is the only time I get a chance to come out into the community and do something that I want to do when I've got my kids. Another group said, I've never been back to school again. This is my first time back into a school in a sort of a learning environment. And a number of them said, this has been such a great experience that I want to go on and do English. One of them wanted to do English as a second language. One or two of them wanted to do accountancy. So this is something that is part of our New Zealand psyche, which that has completely gone. And then the last thing, which I know a number of you have fought alongside you, which is the voluntary student membership and repealing that voluntary student membership. And it's great to have a couple of people represented here from Massey. I just read in the Manawa 2 Times this week that Massey is about to bump up student fees. Denny from Waikato here, who's looking at exactly the same problem, that effectively the universities will be billing students for about the equivalent of what they used to pay in student association fees, but it's going to go to the university, and then you're going to have to negotiate with the university to see what services get funded. I mean, this was what we warned, and when I blogged on it yesterday, we got all these sort of so-called Democrats or whatever coming back to me saying, oh yeah, but it's better that the university, they're more responsible with money. Well, the old adage, you know, representation, taxation without representation, that's effectively what has happened with the abolition of voluntary student membership. We could have had a really good compromise that could have suited everybody, and it would have persisted and lasted for another couple of generations, but unfortunately we were outsmarted in the last hour, and Chippy was one of the ones who was in the Parliament fighting with us. And thanks for everybody there, for the moral support, because as the Labour Party, we took a bit of a hit on this. You might have heard some pretty negative press about us wasting time in Parliament. We feel pretty strongly about the fact that this was a pretty important aspect of university life, the Student Association. So we lost it in the last hour of Parliament. I couldn't even bear to be in Parliament when it went through. I couldn't stand to see the rejoicing on the other side of the House. rejoicing is. And but anyway, we will repeal that, and that's an undertaking that we've made and we will stick to. So that's all I really want to say. Chippy, you want to say anything as a past present? He's got a question. I hope I can answer it. Yeah. So thank you. Thanks, Max.